All right, let's talk about home time. Pride's general guidelines on home time is 1 day off for every 7 days out. No more than 5 days away from the terminal with the truck. So what that means is if you're going on a vacation somewhere, say you live in California and you're going on a cruise or whatever, and it's 2 weeks long, we will get you a ride from our terminal to California where you're taking off from, and then we'll pick you up again when you get done with your vacation. Anything 5 days or less, and if we needed to stretch it to 6, I'm sure we'd be okay to do that. But anything 5 days or less, you just take the truck home. Okay? It's still your tractor assignment. You don't lose your tractor assignment because you're going on vacation. Can't be responsible for, valuable stuff left in your truck. So you don't have to take your clothes out. You don't have to take your non-perishable food out. We may use the truck while you're gone, but it's pretty unlikely unless we get all the trucks seated and then we have extra freight and we're like, or somebody breaks down, we'd use it. But it's pretty rare anymore with as many trucks as we have. Make sure you get your home time requests in early, at least 14 days. We know that occasionally you're not going to be able to give that much advance notice, but that's kind of the minimum. Sometimes you'll give us less, but shoot for that. Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 is when the home time requests come in. If you do it on the weekend, they're not going to see it. Derek won't be here. He's the guy that does home time. He won't be here to put it in the system, so it won't be in the system. Don't do it verbally. Don't do it in a free-form text message. Do it on the driver tech on the home time macro, which is macro 38, I think. They'll tell you to take the trailer to one of our customers and drop the trailer, so you'll just be taking the tractor home. Yeah. Just make sure it's safe. Don't ever disconnect from a loaded trailer. Yeah, you guys all know that. Are my dates flexible mean, right? So on the home time request, it'll ask you the start date, the end date, what city you're taking your home time in, and are your dates flexible. We have a system for home time. We don't just put it in the system and cross our fingers and hope that it works out. We have one person that does that. He can take any load off of any driver at any time or pull a load off a load board, whatever, to get a driver home. And what we're really concerned about, because it is important to you guys, is that we get you to those events that you can't change. As a truck driver, sometimes you may have to change a doctor's appointment as long as it's not an emergency situation. You may have to move your plans one way or another sometimes. But things that you can't change, like daughter getting married, kid graduating from school, 25th anniversary, God forbid, a funeral, those things you can't change. And that's why we have that question on the home time request, are your dates flexible? If you're just wanting to get home just to chill out, you've been out for 4 weeks and you want to go home for 4 or 5 days, but you don't really care if it's the 3rd or the 6th, that's when you put, yes, my dates are flexible. What it does is it prioritizes the guys that say, no, my dates are not flexible. It kind of prioritizes those above the home time requests for drivers that just want to get home and relax. Okay? And when I say my dates are flexible, I'm not talking months or weeks. If you've got 3 days scheduled off, the 3rd, 4th, and the 5th, we may move those dates upward, so you may get home earlier to accommodate a guy that's got a wedding going on the 3rd in your area, or it may be a few days later. It's never, weeks or months or anything. And it's a really good system. I was driver advocate for a long time, and before we went to this system of prioritizing home time requests and having one person do home time for the whole fleet, I got the same complaints I'm sure that most trucking companies get from their drivers, that I missed a graduation or whatever. And I'll bet you in the last 2 years, I bet you I've only had less than 5 complaints in 2 years from guys saying they didn't get me home for an important event. Now it's a good system, but it only works if you guys are honest with each other, right? If every driver, every time they put in a home time request, just says, no, my dates are flexible, thinking that their home time is the most important, then it's just a crapshoot, and we'll be like any other big carrier out there if the drivers aren't honest with it. So it's kind of a you scratch my back this time, I'll scratch your back next time. So drivers working together. And we're very, very successful. And our drivers are really happy about home time success on a non-flexible home time date. The only time you ever need to put what the reason is on your home time request is if you do say, my dates are not flexible. A couple things to keep in mind. Like I said, make sure you get your home time request in early. You need to be part of the system, okay? The system is put in place to get you guys home when you want to get home. Let me give you a little example about what I mean by be part of the system. I had a driver a couple years ago when I was director of operations that, no, when I was the driver advocate, sorry. His name's OT, and OT. And we're going to say this is Washington, this is Utah, or this is Northern Cal, sorry. And this is Utah, and this is Dallas, Texas. Okay, he calls me up, and I answer my phone, and he starts yelling at me, Pride sucks, you guys suck, I'm not home when I'm supposed to be home. My wife's 40th birthday in Northern Cal is tomorrow, and I'm not going to get home. So I looked at when he put his home time request in. He did it in enough time. He put it in plenty early, did everything he was supposed to do. So I apologized, and he was right here, by the way. He was like 50 miles outside of Dallas. And I'm like, even if I could teleport you or if I had a load, you'd never get home by tomorrow. Okay? So I started looking at what he did with his load. He picked up on the afternoon of the 19th, needed to be home on the 23rd, and called me from here on the 22nd. Okay? And I'm like, OT, you picked this load up in Washington and you needed to be home to Northern Cal literally 3 days later. Why don't you say something?
Yeah.
You know what he said? Pride sucks. It's not my fault. It's not my job. And I'm like, you're right. Absolutely. It's not your fault. It's not your job. We screwed up. I know that. But there isn't anything I can do about it now. So then I looked at his route, and he came to Utah. Right? Rolled right through the yard, basically. And I'm like, OT, couldn't you have said something when you got to Utah? Hey, can we turn me to California? I got a home time, my wife's 40th birthday. Because I'm sure I had a driver headed for Northern California that would have loved to go to Texas instead of going right back to Cali. You know what he said? Pride sucks. It's not my fault. You guys suck. I'm like, okay, well, I'm sorry. Again, I'm sorry that it didn't work out. So I got off the phone with him. Felt really bad that he wasn't going to be there for his wife's birthday. But it dawned on me what had actually happened in reality. Can anybody guess? No, he put it in. He forgot. He forgot, and his wife called him 50 miles from Dallas and said, hey, baby, you're on the 80 headed home, right? You know what he told her? Pride sucks. Right? So the whole point here is it wasn't his fault. We screwed up. I took responsibility. But in this situation, when he picks this load up, he should have said something. Hey, don't forget, my home time request is in there, right? Mama's going to be mad if I'm not home for her birthday. And then when he got to Utah, he should have said, hey, I got to turn this thing. Because now it's like the 21st, and there's no way he's getting there. So be part of the system. A gentle reminder goes a long way. Not, don't call and threaten your fleet manager, if I'm not home, I'm going to quit or whatever. But a gentle reminder is a good thing. It's your home time. Help us own it, especially if it's something really important, okay? The next thing is, if it's something super important, and you need to, let's say your daughter's getting married on the 5th, don't put the 5th as your first home time day. Put the 4th, okay? Because we measure our home time success, and if we get you there on the day you ask to be there, we consider that a successful home time. We don't look at what time it was that we got you there. If we got you there on the day you wanted to be there, good job, okay? So if you got an important date, make sure you put in your first day the day before, okay? Now, what constitutes a home time day? Well, a fleet manager will tell you that if he gets you home at 11 o'clock at night on the 3rd, that the 3rd was a home time day, right? You were home. You were home on the 3rd. There's your first day. Well, the driver, on the other hand, will say if he gets home at 1 o'clock in the morning on the 3rd, that day shouldn't count because he worked, right? So there's this push me, pull you kind of confrontation that goes on. The way we try to eliminate that is just plan on reloading at the time you got home, 3 days later. If you want 3 days off, you get home at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That's when we'll set your projected time of availability. Okay, does that make sense? Here's how we handle emergencies. We leave it up to you because there's varying degrees of emergency. If you have a serious emergency, your fleet manager's just going to say, what do you want to do? Do you want me to find the next load I can to get you headed toward the house, or do you need to go jump on an airplane right now? Okay? So we would recover even if you're under a load, we'd recover your load and your tractor and your trailer while you go take care of what you need to take care of. Please, and I've had this happen before, and it was a very unfortunate situation, and I deal with a lot of drivers, and I've only seen this happen once, but it's kind of a horror story. I had a kid who drove out 300 miles out of route, said his mother died, just went off the grid, left our truck and our trailer and our load, and obviously we said, well, you need to do whatever you got to do. So we find his truck abandoned 300 miles away, and yeah, well, we find it abandoned 300 miles away, and we can't find him. He won't answer the phone. We have no idea what's going on. So I looked in his driver screen, and it's got his mother's cell phone number in the driver screen as an alternate contact. Yeah, you can see where this is going.
Oh, shit.
I called the phone, and guess who answered?
Mom answered.
His dead mom, right? His dead mom, and she had no idea she was dead. Yeah. So please, we'll take stuff like that 1,000%. We're going to believe what you tell us. Don't use something that's going to pull at everybody's heartstrings as a reason to get home now. If your wife says, "Hey, if you don't come home right now, I'm going to go out with the milkman." Don't use that as, don't say somebody died so we get you home just like that, right?